Everybody, welcome to my studio. Welcome to, I believe this is going to be the final video that I make where I'm actually practicing along with you. I typically don't practice with you, but over the summer when I was really struggling to find that commitment to getting on the yoga mat, I did my 30 days of yoga. So if you have not checked out, pop back into the YouTube channel. I've bookmarked the 30 days of yoga as one playlist. So you can scroll all the way down to the very beginning, listen to why I wanted to start it, and then start with day one. They range anywhere from like, I don't know, 10 minutes to 35 or 40. Like you can kind of pick and choose based on your schedule, but it is nice to go sequentially, like from day one on, because there's sort of a message that is spoken throughout those 30 days. But with that said, I typically have always taught even YouTube video yoga, just me cueing you through my words, through my voice. And I think that's powerful. And I have a whole reason as to why I feel that's powerful, especially in this very post-pandemic times where there's a gazillion yoga teachers anywhere on YouTube, and they're all great. It's nothing against them. I just have a different philosophy about bodies and being on the mat and the interference and not just interference, but the competition and comparison that we are human beings, that we're going to easily have to fight against when we're looking at somebody else do something that we're being taught to do. It's just our human nature. And I feel like there's not a place in yoga for that. I think we really need to tune inward, which is going to lead me to as to why Yin Yoga is and will continue to be the direction that I take my classes for the first quarter of the year. So next in 8 days, 9 days, I'm having hip replacement. I will be guiding a lot. I'm going to heal first, not going to be teaching much. And then as I kind of emerge out of that inward healing process, have a few more weeks of yin as we start to kind of mimic the rhythm of nature, right? And so right now it's cold, it's snowy, everything's quiet, the earth is quiet, the seeds are quiet, everybody's kind of internal. And that's what's so beautiful about yin class, is that it really does lend itself for stillness, much like winter. So I'm going to teach a final class here. Remember, there's some guidelines with yin that's different than vinyasa flow, or even the style of yoga that I typically teach, which is more of that gentle, flowy goodness. There's going to be opportunities to be. And in a typical hour-long yin class, this will not be an hour. There's only like 6, 7, 8 poses the whole hour, which means each posture you are lingering for quite some time. And that really does lend itself to get into that fascia we talked about last time I was on, about that connective tissue that's very mesh-like, that doesn't really get an opportunity in stretching to get access, because we stretch for 30 seconds and then we move on. So yin is going to ask us to really sit with something for a long time. With that, I'm going to kind of cut each posture down a little bit so that you can always return on your own time and stay a while. You could even hit the pause button if you're loving the way something feels in your body. Feel free to stay. There's no wrong way to do yoga. And that's, I think, where people get hung up on, am I doing it right? So a couple of things that I have with me that you're going to have a better experience in yin if you have, which is a couple yoga blocks. These are foam, just made of like a soft foam, but they're hard enough to be able to sit on or to prop our bodies up with. I have 2 of those. And then I have a bolster. You can use a pillow. You can also use a rolled up yoga mat. This is kind of a mini bolster just for space wise. And I like to be able to just use them in different ways than a full on big round bolster. You can use both. You can also do most of this from a chair. I'm going to choose to do a mat today. The last class I did, I offered just a couple. I wouldn't say it was a class. It was more of just a Dharma talk from a chair. So we're gonna get on the mat today. We're gonna try the mat, and and just play with it. So if you don't have these props, you don't need them. You can also use books for these. You can use couch pillows. Again, just use what you have. Be who you are. Don't make this more complicated than it needs to be by thinking you're right or wrong because you don't have something or your body doesn't like something and you want to escape. So Yin is going to invite us to stay a while, to linger a while. We're going to exit with care. And that has been something that I've been applying to my life, which to me, this is practice for there. And so exiting with care looks like in life before I jump to the first thing right when I get home from work, I sit for a second. I ground myself. I get collected. I take a couple breaths. Then I decide, okay, what needs to be done? And then I do that. And before I jump to the next, I'm just taking moments in my life just to pause. And I've learned through my hand injury that is a requirement. It's a requirement. And sometimes it takes something incredibly hard to be reminded of that lesson. But the hand thing, I've learned it. I'm cheating a little bit. Don't freak out, my people who love me. I'm just not wearing my brace for this. I'm not going to use my hand at all. I'm allowed to move it. Look how much I can move it now, but I can't use it. So I'm just going to let it breathe for a minute. My doctor said, while you're sitting, let it breathe. The splint is incredibly uncomfortable, very restrictive. All right, so we're going to start in my all-time favorite shape, all-time favorite. I'm sitting on my right cheek. I'm going to take both legs over to the left. Now, it's a little chilly where I'm at, so I have a couple layers on. Tried to be colorful today so you could see kind of where I am on the mat and not just be always in black. That's my favorite. So sitting on the right cheek, feet are to the left. I'm going to grab one block. You might need two. I know for me, my body needs one. I'm going to sit tall to start, and I'm going to rest my hand on the block. I'm going to place the heel of my hand on the block. You could place the whole hand on the block. I'm just being quite careful. My left arm's going to reach up, and immediately I feel spaciousness in my left side. Now, notice my right elbow's bending. I'm going to let it keep bending, keep bending, keep bending. Now I know for my body, I could go a little bit more. So I'm going to lower my forearm to the block. We're going to stay here just for a breath or two. Anytime we use a block, a book, or a pillow, we're bringing the floor up higher, which makes it a little bit more accessible. Now, I could lose the block for sure, but then I've collapsed my right side. And I don't want that. I want spaciousness through both sides of my body. So bring the floor up a little bit, and there I have it. Take your left fingertips that are in the air and reach them further than you think you might. So this is opening up the side body, opening up the back. Feels pretty delicious to me. Take a breath and then bring your left arm down, and we're going to bring it across the body. Here's where the blocks are delightful. Both elbows are going to find the block, and I'm starting to rotate. My ribs are rotating down towards the floor, and here's where we're going to stay a bit. I'm not going to have us stay as long as a traditional Yin class. And I want you to look at your hands. Look at your forearms. Look at your elbow crease. Notice the head's becoming a little bit heavier, and then start to drift your eyes towards your heart, which we drop the chin to our chest. We allow the head to hang heavy, and here's where we stay. So in Yin, we're also invited, encouraged, welcomed to find an edge. Most of us approach the edge, and because it is uncomfortable, we back away from the edge. In Yin, we want to sort of straddle that edge, being with the discomfort and finding comfort within that. And that's really where physically we're looking at that connective tissue. So in our bodies in this shape, we have some connective tissue in the hip joint that's getting a little bit of spaciousness through the low back. That SI joint, as it rotates, is getting some, the ribs, the back of the neck, the cervical spine, the shoulder, top of the shoulders where the trapezius muscles are, all of those areas where we begin to let muscle give away and soften, kind of melt away from the bone, is something you hear yoga teachers say a lot, which is hard to capture unless you're feeling that sensation of muscles sort of melting away instead of being so tight. And then we look underneath there for that fascia, that connective tissue. And so after you've been here for some time, you might find that the block is no longer needed, and you can rest your forearms on the ground, maybe even lowering your head to the ground. And here's where we stay. We'll stay for maybe 3 to 5 breaths here. Of course, in your own practice, welcoming the opportunity to stay longer. You could feel that sensation of the head and its heaviness kind of pulling some traction through the cervical spine. And now we're going to come out of this pretty carefully, pretty deliberately, with care. So I'm going to start by lifting my chin, bringing my eyes back to the elbow crease, back to the forearm, back to the wrist, back to the hands. The hands are going to return to the ground and gently begin to rise up. Okay, walk your hands closer towards your body and then begin to unwind. Oh, isn't that nice? Woo. Keeping this shape, we're going to extend the left leg out at an angle. Okay, so now we're going to be targeting the back of the knee underneath where the hamstring attaches, and then maybe even into the sitting bone. I'm going to need my blocks. I'm going to reach for it. And I know from my body, because I have a very, very angry back, I need support here. So I'm going to slide my handy dandy bolster underneath my buns. And when we elevate the hips, and the hips are higher than the knees, then we have a lot more accessibility to get into some deeper folds. So that's just a handy trick. You can also use a rolled up towel, rolled up blanket, extra yoga mat. I also know from my body, because I have an injury over here on the right side of my body, and I'm struggling to have comfort in the last 4 days, I'm going to be extra tender by using my blocks. Now, without the inflamed lower back, I could probably just dump my upper body onto my legs. But because I'm in this mindset of nurturing, creating space, slowing down, not going to happen. So my right foot is tucked into my left leg, and I'm going to bring that floor up to me so that I don't have to strain the low back. Hands are going to just drip over the blocks. I'm going to spin my heart so that it's aiming for my toes. Okay, so in yin class, there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of getting your body into the shape to then you experience it differently than me. I'm just setting you up where we're going to go. Okay, so once you're there, you're going to take your heart and you're going to aim it towards your toes. So we're not looking for a flex, rounded spine. We're looking for bending at the hip crease, leading with the heart. Now, I know for me today, not going any further, my body feels like it wants to go further because it might get a deeper stretch, but I might just cause a little bit of aggravation in an already aggravated space. I'm actually going to drop my forearms. Okay, so that's going to be my modification. So I feel the stretch in my back where it's tight, but I'm not forcing anything to happen. And that is such a beautiful essence of yin, is we're not yanking or pulling, but we're doing the work. And different than restorative, a yin class is really powerful because it does require some effort. Check out my left toes. They're up to the sky. They're not just hanging out. There's activity here, feeling it underside my left leg. And then as you find comfort here, the heart continues to push towards the left. And then when you find that edge, right, You could back away from it, not in yin. You could jump over it and not be practicing ahimsa, which is harming, trying to go further because maybe the yoga teacher on TV is going further. That's why I don't like that. That's for another day. I don't like it. So listen to your body. Where do you feel it? Where's your edge? And when you find your edge, then we begin to settle into the edge. So I'm at my edge, not going any further. So my settling is, again, the eyes are going to start at the toes. I'm going to travel my eyes down to my knee, and this is starting that process. Then my eyes are going to travel up to that hip crease. And then the eyes travel to the heart. The head becomes heavy, the chin tucks into the chest. And here we are in a beautiful forward fold. And yin, the breath just remains steady and not manipulated at all. It's just an easy, comfortable breath. Typically in stillness, the mind becomes busy. We're wondering what's next. So just redirect to, am I still at my edge? Has my edge softened? Can I deepen my edge? Can I go towards it again and then settle back in? If you've moved past your edge and you're in pain, reel it in a little bit, get to the edge. So my edge right now is I feel my right side of my back. Underneath my left knee is getting a nice stretch. Back of my neck, into my shoulder blades. Now to exit with care, same thing we did before. We're just going to reverse it. So the eyes move to the hip crease. They move to the thigh. They move to the knee. They move to the ankle. They move to the eyes. Hands go to the blocks. And we gently rise up. We got two sides. Let's take to the other side. So I'm going to lose the bolster just for a moment. I'm going to swing my legs over to the right. I'm going to sit on my left cheek. Bolster is going to just scoot off my space. Okay, I know I'm going to need the block on the outside of my left leg. So I'm going to start here. Okay, so this feels a little bit different for me, just given what's kind of showing up. Hand is going to drape over the block. Right arm's going to go high. I feel it immediately, a nice stretch. Elbow's going to start to bend. I'm going to reach up and over, okay? Notice just for a moment, I dropped my forearm. That's okay. You can as well. The length here, okay? So we're looking for length. We're not looking for a collapse. We're looking for length. Feel that? Take your right fingers, reach them further. You should feel beautiful stretch. Feels so nice. Okay, so that's just setting the stage for about what's about to happen. Your right arm is going to come on down. And then we're going to start to turn. Again, being mindful of your back. If it's cranky like mine, forearms are going to be where they land. Oh, got a nice pop there, nice release. So my hands are together. That creates a nice seal for the sides of the body, right to right, left to left, right hand, left hand connect. Now, I'm going to start with my eyes at my fingers, move them to my forearms, to the elbow crease, eventually to the heart, and then we find that edge. So the edge here is the right ribs, the right psoas muscle, which is the muscle that runs on the front of the hip, right there. It gets very, very tight, especially when we have something showing up in our back. This wants to protect, so it becomes tight. I feel like I could drop to my forearms onto the mat out of the gate, get a nice rotation, and then this is where is beautiful about yin. So here we are in the shape, and then we get to refine it. So refining for me, I lost the blocks. I bring the head down further, and now I can feel this beautiful edge that's going along the right side of my back, over my right hip crest, into my right glute, and that's creating a little bit of comfort there. So the edge is finding comfort in the discomfort. being okay. Being okay. You're going to exit with care. Remember, you can always return. You can hit the pause. Eyes start to travel back to the hands. Hands return. Before your belly rolls back to the front, push yourself up. Start with the eyes, the chin, the heart, and the belly. Okay. So here's what this would look like without exiting with care. Just going to show you. So we're in the fold. We're in the beautiful, quiet space. And then we just fling up. Okay. That's not exiting with care. And we lost all of that juiciness that showed up in the pose. Okay. And that's that slower energy, that quiet energy. We talked last time I was on about the collective energy of chaos, the own personal chaos that we have in our relationships and in our life, in our stressors. Then we have stuff showing up in our body. It could be an illness, it could be pain, it could be anticipation, it could be anything. And we have to counter it with ease and deliberate and slowness. We have to, I talked last time I was on about the scale being like this. And what I've come to realize in my own life, it's not that my effort needs to come down. My effort's going to stay. I'm going to continue to be amazing, but I'm going to bring ease up to match it. Then I'm even. Right now, I'm not even. My body is forcing me to be even. Same thing as last side. We're going to swing the leg. It's at a diagonal. I'm going to grab my handy dandy bolster because I have trouble with my hips. You can see, like, sitting like this, I'm wanting to collapse. I don't want to collapse. I want to keep a straight spine. So I'm just going to lift up my cheeks, get my buns on that bolster. And now, with my hips higher than my knees, I've got tons of space in my spine. I'm going to rotate towards the right leg. Toes are straight up. Grab my blocks. They're my friends. Turn your heart towards your right foot. Again, kind of looking for a bend at the hip crease, not a round slumped spine. True bend in the hip crease. You might even locate that hip crease where your thigh goes right into your pelvis. And then aim your heart towards your foot. Okay, so I'm not rounding, not just yet. I want to find that edge. So forearms, find the blocks. Straight spine. This could be your edge. It's close to my edge. My right leg is incredibly tight. Okay. So this could be your edge, and that's plenty. Once you find your edge, the eyes begin that journey to the heart. And that is such a gift of yin, to get rid of all that and go right straight to you. So beautiful. You might choose to have some nice music on, making sure your family knows to leave you alone. Dogs are contained. But this is a time for you and you. A time for you to look at your form from the lens of softness and yet edginess. And then we apply that to the essence of who we are. Is where do we play the edge in our relationships and not get scared and walk away or keep our mouth shut or not be willing to speak our truth? How do we play the edge in our profession? Do we take risks? Do we stand up for our beliefs? Do we advocate? Walking the edge as a parent means that sometimes we have to have hard conversations that are really uncomfortable, but knowing that the uncomfortable leads to transformation, and that maybe that uncomfortable conversation leads to something better. It's all a practice, my sweet friends. Let's exit with care. So start with the eyes. Okay, start with the eyes. Feel that behind the right leg. Do you feel that gentle pull? That's the edge. Bring the eyes back to the toes before you turn the belly forward. Straighten the spine and then turn. I'm going to keep my hips on the bolster for this next one. And I'm going to use the blocks to support my knees. Okay. And by bringing the floor higher, I'm not letting my hip just dangle and hang right there. Okay. So this is the hip that's going to be brand new. And if I sit without support, I have a ton of pain there. So I'm going to sit with support. And so yin is not about like, there's a fine line, right? We want to have the edge, but we don't want to cause pain, but we want to walk towards the pain, but not go over the pain. And so if I just let it hang out, okay, immediately my belly sinks in, my breath becomes short and shallow, and it hurts. It's beyond the edge. By putting the block there, I can keep the spine straight. I can keep the breath full, normal breath, not restricted and not changed at all. And then soles of my feet are together. And then because I like the equality and symmetry of both sides of my body being at the same height, I'm going to keep the block under my right leg, even though my right leg feels pretty good. Like there's my openness. So just as sort of an evaluation of the differences in our body and that both are okay. Ooh, not okay. This would be okay, but you can see I'm not symmetrical here. And I want that symmetry in my body so that I get the best benefit of the pose. Hands can be on your feet, your knees, your shins, wherever it feels good. But again, we're not going to round right away. We're going to push the heart forward. Ooh, okay. So the edge is low back, groin area, right? That inner thigh. And then we just keep going towards the edge, walking towards the edge. When you get to your edge, stop. Then divert the eyes back to the heart. Okay. Get to your edge. Your edge could be very, very different than mine. As my eyes are traveling to my heart, I notice the space between the heels of my feet and the base of my body is about 10 inches. Further than that, we would be in a different shape. This is butterfly. Okay, the shoulders now finally begin to round as we linger with the edge. We melt towards the edge. We feel it. Okay, so I feel a beautiful stretch in my low back just where I need it. My inner thighs are nice and spacious and open. Because the head is heavy, I feel this nice gentle traction on my cervical spine, into my shoulders, into my traps. This one you could stay quite some time, but we're going to exit with care. I have a few more that I want to show you. One in particular that we often see in yin, roll on up slow with care. We often see this next one in yin quite frequently. And I will tell you, it's one of the most uncomfortable shapes ever known to man, but it's one of the most beneficial shapes that we can do, male or female, for our pelvis, our groin, our inner thighs, our hips. And it's underused because it's so hard, but it's good. We're going to do it together. Okay, this is one where it'd be nice to have a blanket, especially if you're on a super hard floor as I am. So I'm going to grab my blanket. It's actually Leo's blanket. He likes to come out. And I'm going to make the blanket nice and wide so that both my knees can fit on the blanket. And I don't have to get out of this and adjust it at all. This is called frog pose. And we're literally going to have 90-degree bends from the hip, the knee, and the ankle. A lot of times we forget about the ankle, and we don't want to forget about the ankle. So you're going to get your knees on the blanket. Here's where the 90 degrees starts. We're going to turn our feet out. Oh, and so it begins. Okay. So it begins. Check out and make sure that your knees, your shin is in a line. Knee to shin to ankle is in a line. Here we go. Come to your forearms. Separate those knees even wider, okay? Even wider. Whew. Even wider. Okay, this is your edge. So you can feel inner thighs here. Some magic is happening. Now, the legs are incredibly wide as possible. Probably could go wider, but I'm being mindful. Now, once you find your edge, you're going to sink the hips back towards the heels. And there it is, my friends. Oh, straight spine. Not looking for, I'm a little bit sunk there, so I'm going to lift there. Lift up my ribs a little bit. I was allowing my ribs to come towards the floor. I don't want that. I want a straight spine. Walk the elbows back. Walk the hips back. So glutes go back. There it is. So this one you would want to stay for, if you could do it for 5 minutes. This is one that requires concentration. Your eyes are between your wrists. I have my palms together with my forehead resting on my thumbs to support my head. You could also bring a block and rest your head on the block. Where we're looking for is taking the hips back towards the heels, but keeping the hips high, keeping the knees nice and wide, and keeping that bend in the ankle so that the inner foot is on the floor. Okay, so this is incredible. If you've never been in frog, I say go for it. 5 breaths or so. I'm going to show you how to 5 minutes or so. Let's do 5 breaths. I'll stay with you. 5 breaths. Come to the edge. Just come to the edge. We have 3 more breaths. Final breath here. And then I'll guide you to exit out of this with care. Move the block away. Bring your big toes into touch, okay? So the legs are still wide, but now I've brought the feet in. This is going to protect everything. Bring your hands to the mat. Walk yourself up. Bring your knees closer. And here we are. That's a dandy. Okay, we're going to finish with a couple on our back. And then that's your yin. See how it's really just a few shapes, but today's is very heavy in the hips, which is what most of us need. Okay, I'm going to come on down. I'm going to just leave my blanket there. It's nice and warm. Grab a block. You could also use your bolster. I prefer a block for this one. Move my little sweater out of the way. All right, so come on down to your back. Now, 2 days ago, I would not have been able to teach this simply because my back was so bad. Block's going to be horizontal. It's going to be like that underneath our bodies. It's called supported bridge. So hike up those hips, slide the block under. Block is on the sacrum. So it's not on the spine and it's not on the fleshy part of the cheeks. It's just above that and that triangular bone. So here's a nice, comfortable, beautiful pose to come to. When we just, after frog, we just need a minute. Okay, we just need a minute. So shoulder blades are on the ground. Knees are up. I have skylights up there. And half the skylight is covered in sparkly snow. And then the other half is Colorado blue sky. It's pretty cool. All right. Sounds scarier than it is. Legs go to the sky. So now this block is supporting our bodies. We could hang out here for hours. And if you don't have a inversion in your life where you're upside down for a little bit, this should be the one that you do. Okay. So at the end of a long day, maybe you had to walk a lot, stand a lot, do a lot of cooking, a lot of shopping, yard work, cleaning, whatever's required you to be standing a lot. This is a wonderful way to take the tired feet, the tired legs, and just bring it all back. Okay. So it just helps to kind of drain and recirculate that lymphatic system. But energetically, we often say this is returning home. Okay, so it's just bringing everything back into the trunk of us. So we're going to change it just a little bit. So you could hang out here for quite some time. Before bed, this is a great thing to do. Against the edge of your bed, get on the floor and just put your feet up on the edge of the bed, and then maybe all the way up with the bed here to support the thighs, or you could do this against a wall. I'm going to hold on to the block just because it feels a little bit more secure. And then look at your beautiful toes and just start to drift your toes towards the space above your head. So now my legs are becoming this angle, right? So plow pose is one that's pretty hard to get into for many people. But this is a version of plow that's softer, okay? Doesn't mean it's less. So where you should be feeling this is where the hamstring attaches to the sit bone. So back there on the backside. Nice stretch of the hamstring. Okay, so here we just hang for a little bit. Now you can have your hands on the block so you can bring them out to the side, whatever feels good. It's okay for the legs to bend. We're not looking for, this super erect, like, ooh, pose. Now, if you try it like I just did with feet flexed, straight legs, you really feel a nice pull. That might be your edge. But as we close the practice, I'm going to let my legs bend a little bit. Now, if you want more than what you have, we'll save it for another day. I don't want to teach it because I feel pretty relaxed, and getting into a little bit deeper version of plow maybe is just a one-time video because it's risky for the neck if you're not mindful. All right, so here we are hanging out in a modified plow. And once you get here, try not to turn your head. Just listen to the sound of my voice, because when we have our legs up and we turn our head, there's just a little bit of risk of tweaking the neck that we don't want. So to exit with care, just listen. Bring the legs back straight up first. Okay, you might notice a little shimmer, a little shake. That's totally normal. Then one by one, place the feet back to the ground. Find the mat, find your blanket, wherever you're laying on. Pause for a second or two in bridge pose with the hips on the block. And then lift up the block, slide it out from under you, and come to a flat spine. Now my bolster's nearby, which is handy. So I'm just going to roll over to the right side just for a minute. I'm going to lay that bolster lengthwise on my mat. Okay. You could also use a rolled up mat. Okay. So now I'm going to lay over the bolster. I'm going to shimmy onto the bolster so that today I feel like I want my head to hang off. Some days I don't. Some days I want my head to be in a long line. And so here I am in this beautiful shape with my heart lifted. I'm going to straighten my legs today. Oh. And this is where we're going to finish. So here's the shape. Supported fish. Arms are out by the side. They could be down by the side, close to the body. I feel like I want the space through my heart, through my shoulders, through my chest. And then you refine it. You also know where the comfort is in that discomfort. So this one feels fairly comfortable to me. I don't really feel like there's an edge, other than I do feel a nice stretch through my armpit and my pec muscles. Been strained a lot this week, tense, so I feel maybe I've been holding some tension there. So the edge for me is along my chest, maybe giving my beautiful heart permission to feel, and to feel all the things that maybe I don't want to feel. Close your pretty eyes. beautiful final pose can be hung out for a long time. 10 minutes, they say, is equivalent to a solid 8 hours of sleep. When you find that it's the right time for you to exit, I invite you to bend your knees to start. Okay, just bend your knees to start. And then drop your knees to one side and just roll over onto the side of your body. Maybe extend your arms out in front so your hand has a place to land. Your head can rest there. And then use your opposite hand to press yourself up to a seat. And you might be in the shape we began in, right? You might be right there. Okay. Now, to close practice, it's nice to give a blessing, okay? To give a blessing to yourself, which is the ultimate in being receptive. It's to bring that blessing to you. We spend so much time outward, and to bless your body, to bless the challenges maybe that you're having in your life as an opportunity to have lessons be brought forth. Where can you stand in your truth? Where can you speak truthfully? Where can you walk away? Where can you say this isn't my stuff? And sometimes when we actually put our life that's represented in a vessel of water with sand in it that's just churning like mud, and we actually boom set it aside, like a yin class, just setting our stuff aside and becoming still, the stuff settles to the bottom and there's clarity. And yin has this profound and powerful way to bring clarity to us. What do we need right now? And so part of the blessing that we close a yin practice with is to bless all of us, the spaciousness of us, the challenges, the celebrations, the wins, the gains, the losses, the hard stuff, the good stuff, and just bless it. Bless it as it is. So take a minute to just gratitude for all of you, all of your life, your current day, all that day is captured of, the hard stuff, the easy stuff, the good stuff, the not so good stuff. And then, as always, I'm grateful for you for showing up, for supporting me and just the crazy life I have and the challenges that I've had. This surgery coming up in 9 days will be surgery number 8 in just 7 years. That's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm giving myself the permission to say that that is a lot, and to take care of myself and do what I need to do so that this won't have to happen again. I don't have to do this again. I don't have to do this again. So I appreciate your support. And I will plan on popping in February, maybe giving a little hip update, kind of checking in, seeing how things are going, maybe guiding you through a practice, just my words. I have always said, if I can talk, I can teach, and just stay connected. That's the thing that I'm needing the most right now, is to feel connected. And so I want to keep this mojo going with some online presence and then connection through texts and messages and phone calls and things like that as I turn off the external world of my busy work life. I'm going to have an adjustment period because I'm with people all the time. And although I'm looking forward to not being with people all the time, I definitely want that connection to remain. So feel free to reach out to me if you're local. I'm always up for coffee, always. That's all I need. I don't need food. I just need coffee. All right. Have a beautiful day. And thanks for hanging out on the space of a yoga mat with me. And I look forward to when I can get back and see people in person. And I look forward to hearing from you and all that. So you have a beautiful rest of your day. And I will talk to you soon. Okay. See ya.